Hi guys, it's Panthers back with another video, and today I'm going to be predicting who I think will win each game in Week 1 of the 2021-2022 NFL season. And before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know I'm probably only going to be doing the one weekly upload of the predictions because I just started school recently, so I don't have as much free time to make videos, so I'm probably just only going to do the one video a week of making the predictions, so I just want to let you guys know that, and that's why I haven't uploaded in the last 2 weeks. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, go follow me below because I'm really close to 100 followers and I would really like to get there if I could. So links in the description if you want to follow me if you're not already. And let's get right into the predictions on who I think will win each game this week. So the first game we have is on Thursday night at 8:20 p.m. with the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So in this game, I think the Buccaneers will win because Dak is almost confirmed to play if he's not going to. I'm pretty sure he will, but even if he doesn't, I still think the Bucs are going to win either way because that defense is really good. And then also Tom Brady, he has so many good weapons around him. And Chris Goodwin, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans, good offensive line. Like, they literally brought back every single starter they had last year when they won the Super Bowl. So, of course, it's pretty good. So, that's why I think they will beat the Cowboys. But the Cowboys' offense might be pretty good, though, because Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb, and Zeke back there. Sounds like a good offense to me, but I just think the Bucs are going to get the win. They have the way better defense, in my opinion. So let's get into the next game. So on Sunday, September 12th, we have the Seahawks taking on the Colts in Indianapolis. So in this game, I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to give the Seahawks the slight edge because I'm not exactly sure who's going to be starting for the Colts at quarterback. So if it's Carson Wentz, then I think they have a good chance. But like if it's Jacob Eason or someone else, I just don't know if it's really good enough right now to beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks, yeah, they don't have a great defense, but I still really like their offense with DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson, etc. So I think it's going to be a pretty close game, but I am going to give the slight edge to the Seahawks here, but I would not be surprised if the Colts win, especially if Carson Wentz does play week 1. So I give the win to the Seahawks in this game. Let's get into the next 1 o'clock game. Next, we have the Jaguars taking on the Houston Texans in Houston. So in this game, I'm going to take the Jaguars to win because I think Trevor Lawrence is going to win here against the Texans because Tyrod Taylor, I think, is a good quarterback, but I just don't think he's going to be able to carry this team enough to get them a win in week 1. So I am going to pick the Jaguars to get the win here on the road in Houston against their division rival, the Houston Texans. And we'll have to see how Trevor Lawrence's debut is because that's going to be his debut game in the NFL. So we'll have to see how he goes. Next 1 o'clock game we have is the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. So in this game, I'm going to have the Falcons win because the Eagles right now with their quarterback situation, Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew, like I just don't think they're really good enough right now to carry this team, especially with the offensive line's not quite as good as it used to be because they're getting older. And other than Devontae Smith, there's not a ton of receiving options there. So I just think that the Falcons are going to get the win here with Matt Ryan now having Kyle Pitts to play with and then also Calvin Ridley, who's really good. So I think just the Falcons are going to win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles win, but I'm expecting the Falcons to win this game because of the Eagles quarterback. Just, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is really ready to take that next step, especially with not a ton of great pieces around him, or Gardner Minshew, whoever ends up playing. I'm not 100% sure of that at the time of filming. The next 1 o'clock game we have is the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Washington football team in Washington. So in this game, I'm going to pick the football team to win because I really like their defense. It's going to be very good with Chase Young and etc., Montez Sweat, just etc. They have a really good defense there in Washington. Offense, they got Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's a good journeyman quarterback. Obviously not the best in the league, but he's a really good quarterback, though. And Justin Herbert, I do think he's going to be really good and stuff. It's just he's playing such a tough defense. I don't know if they're going to be able to score enough to win. So I'm just going to pick the football team to win this game because I think they're a really good team and could maybe make a playoff push again this year for the division, maybe against like the Cowboys and possibly the Giants if they could stay healthy this year. So I'm going to pick the Washington football team to win this game. Let's get into the next 1 o'clock game. Next, we have the Steelers taking on the Bills in Buffalo. I'm going to take the Bills to win this game because I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs is going to be really good. And the Steelers, like Big Ben, he's getting older, but not that he's bad at this point. It's just in this point in his career, I just think that he's not as good as he used to be. And I just think that the Bills' offense is too much for the Steelers to handle because Josh Allen has just been so good last year, and I think that's going to continue because him and Stephon Diggs is such a great duo. That was a great trade by the Bills a couple years ago to get Stephon Diggs before last season. That was a great trade because he's so good, And yes, he was really good in Minnesota, but he's just taken it to another level in Buffalo last year in his first year with Josh Allen. So I think they're going to do great things in the upcoming seasons. We'll have to see, but I think they will. And also, I think that Bills defense is going to play a lot better this year. So last year, I think it was just a little bit of a down year for some reason, but I think they'll go right back to how they were before. It's a really good defense. It's might take a few weeks to get into happening, but I think at some point at least it will be a pretty good defense throughout the season. So I'm going to pick the Bills to win here. So I don't think the Steelers are going to start off 13-0 again like they did last year. Sorry, Steelers fans, but I know they started off 13-0. They lost a few games, made the playoffs still, and then lost in the first round to the Browns. So sorry, Steelers fans, but it's just what happens. So. All right, let's get into the next 1 o'clock game. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Detroit Lions in Detroit. I'm going to pick the 49ers to win this game because with the 49ers healthy, they're definitely a better team than the Lions. Like, sorry, Lions fans, but I know Jared Goff's not as good as Stafford, but at least he's young. Maybe he could be good, but I don't think he's really the future quarterback there because Jared Goff, I think he's a good quarterback, but I just don't think he's really anything special. And I think he was really good because of Todd Gurley being there in LA, so that's why I think he was doing really well, because that just gave the defense having to worry about Todd Gurley, so it made it pretty easy on Jared Goff. But now in Detroit, they have DeAndre Swift, but I don't think that's really going to take a ton of pressure off him. So in my opinion, I just don't think Jared Goff's going to do great in Detroit. And then the 49ers, with Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance starting, it doesn't really matter because they're a very run-heavy team. And then also that defense is going to be so good this year with Nick Bosa back, with Fred Warner, highest paid middle linebacker now. He signed a huge extension this offseason. And just there's so many good players on that defense. Secondary's a little bit on the lackluster side, but other than that, they're so good. That front seven. And the secondary's still good. It's just not as good as the rest of the defense. But that front seven is just going to be really good. And I don't know the Lions are going to be able to handle that because the Lions are not the greatest of teams. So they're probably going to have pressure on Jared Goff all day. So I don't know how Goff's going to really do because it's not like he has a ton of great receivers there either. So I don't think he's going to have a fun week one and first game in Detroit. So in my opinion, I think the 49ers are easily going to win this game here in Detroit in week one to get a 1-0 record and start trying to compete with the Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals for that NFC West like it was last year. I think it's going to be really competitive again this year. Let's get into the next 1 o'clock game. And also, if you see the side of my face, that's just because I'm looking to the side to see on my iPad that I have all the games up and where they are so I can let you guys know of that. Next, we had the Vikings taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. So in this game, I think it's going to be a close game because the Bengals, you're going to have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow reuniting for the first time since college in a game, and it's going to be their first NFL game together. Joe Burrow did play last year, but this will be Jamar Chase's first game, so it'll be their first game as a duo in the NFL. So if they're as good as they were in college, that's going to be really scary for a lot of the teams because they were really good together in college at LSU, so we'll have to see if that can translate. And then on the Vikings, you got Dalvin Cook, who's a really good running back, definitely up there in that top 5 conversation. And then you got Kirk Cousins, who isn't a great quarterback, but isn't the worst, so he's manageable. He's okay. And you still got Adam Thielen, of course, Justin Jefferson. Like, such a great rookie year last year by him. I was so impressed by him. Like, I thought he'd be a good rookie wide receiver, not like that good. Like, he might be better than Stephon Diggs was in Minnesota, but if he can continue this up. He might even get close to Randy Moss if he can continue this up for years and years and years and years, but that's going to take a while. Randy Moss was crazy for the Vikings, as I saw highlights of that. So in my opinion, I'm going to pick the Vikings to get the win here, but I really wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals win because I think it's a really close game, this one. But I'm going to pick the Vikings to get the win here in Cincinnati in the first week of the season. So I'm going to pick the Vikings to win. Let's get into the next 1 o'clock game. Next, we have the Jets taking on the Panthers. This game will be in Carolina, and this is going to be a big storyline game because you have Sam Darnold, who was on the Jets for the last 3 years, his first 3 years in the league, and now this is his 4th year, and he's going to be on the Panthers playing his first game in Carolina, and it's going to be against his former team, the New York Jets, and then also the Jets drafting his replacement. Zach Wilson's going to be playing his first career game in his whole entire NFL career, while Sam Darnold will just be playing his first for the Panthers. So this is going to be a ton of storylines here, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch. And also, more storylines, not the most important position, but kicker Matt Amendola for the Jets was originally signed by the Panthers, never given a chance at training camp, and the Jets gave him a chance. He made the team. Now he's the starting kicker for them. And the Panthers never gave him a chance. And their starting kicker at that time, Joey Sly, has now been cut. And the Panthers now have a new kicker. So Matt Amendola might have some bad blood there because that was his first time ever getting signed to an NFL contract, and they don't even give him a chance. The Panthers didn't come immediately. They just come before camp started, which I really don't get what the point of that was. Like, why would you sign him if you're not even giving him a chance in camp? Like, even if Joey Sly you think was really good, you should still give him a chance, or why are you signing him? That's just a waste of time. So in this game, I think it's going to be a very close game, I think, because the Jets are definitely very improved. Like, definitely not, I don't think good enough to make a playoff run yet, but definitely very improved compared to last year. Definitely a lot better now, in my opinion. And then the Panthers, I think, are also improved, especially with getting a Sam Darnold, who I think is going to be better than Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina, because Teddy Bridgewater he was sometimes too scared to throw it. And Sam Darnold's going to have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. If he could stay healthy this year, Christian McCaffrey, he might have another 1,000 year, maybe. We'll have to see, but he was really good 2019 and then got injured last year and only played about 3 games. So in my opinion, I do think the Panthers are going to get the slight win here, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets do, because I think it's going to be a very, very close game. And I'm excited to see how the Panthers defense develops because they're very young. So last year was just like they were playing. They started off not very good, but then as the season progressed, they got better and better and better, that defense, because it's a very young defense. So we'll have to see if those young players that were starting to get really good towards the end of the year, like Jeremy Chin, etc., can play really good against the Jets and throughout this season. We'll have to see how they all play together. So I have the Panthers winning this game. Let's get into the next 1 o'clock game. Next, we have the Cardinals taking on the Tennessee Titans in Nashville. So in this game, I'm going to take, I think, the Titans to win this game in their first game, because Julio Jones and A.J. Brown on the same offense. Oh, yeah, and don't forget about Derrick Henry. Like, this offense is going to be so good for the Titans if they can all stay healthy, because Julio has had a few issues staying healthy the last few years. But if he could stay healthy, him, A.J. Brown, and then Derrick Henry with the running game, this is going to be a scary offense, because you're going to commit to the run, they'll throw it to A.J. Brown or Julio Jones. Commit to the pass, run it with Derrick Henry. Like, it's going to be such a good offense, I think, for the Titans this year, especially if Tannehill can make some good throws, which he's been doing since he's went to Tennessee. Miami, not so much, but since he's been to Tennessee, he's been making some good throws. I do know because Derrick Henry runs a lot, teams key in on him, so it makes it a little bit easier for Tannehill, but he's still getting his job done. That's what he's there for. Derrick Henry there to get the main load, and then Tannehill's just there to make the throws when he's asked to. So I think the Titans will win this game, but I do like what the Cardinals have done. I think they've gone a lot better. I just don't think they can beat them. But Kyler Murray's still going to be really good. DeAndre Hopkins, that's still a great offense. And also, you got A.J. Green. If he has anything left in the tank, he's going to be there. Christian Kirk's pretty good. They did lose their tight end, Dan Arnold, to the Panthers. So Panthers, for example, it's going to be, if Sam Darnold throws it to Dan Arnold, it's going to be Sam Darnold to Dan Arnold. So that's going to be a little tongue twister and fun to say the whole season if Sam Darnold throws a lot of passes to Dan Arnold. So I do think the Cardinals are a really good team. I just don't think they're going to beat the Titans week 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because the Cardinals still are very good, but I'm just going to pick the Titans. I think they win from the home crowd to start off the season and go 1-0. And let's get into the next game. Next, we have a AFC playoff rematch of the Cleveland Browns taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. And speaking of that playoff game, that was such a crazy game because the backup quarterback for the Chiefs came in on 4th down and sealed the deal, throwing it to Tyreek Hill for the first down against the Browns. And that was just such a fun game. I know for Browns fans, obviously they weren't happy because it was their first time since they made the playoffs. They beat the Steelers in the wild card round, divisional round. They come up against the Chiefs and they lose. But they kept it a lot closer than what I thought. I thought the Chiefs were going to run away with it because the Chiefs offense is just so good. I know the Browns have a good defense, but it's Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's such a good offense. So I was kind of surprised they kept it as close as they did throughout that game. But now to talk about in week 1, I think the Chiefs are going to win again because the Chiefs are so good. Their offense is so good. If their defense could just play decent, then this team's probably going to go back to the Super Bowl again because Patrick Mahomes is so good. And then also they got some help on the offensive line now because their offensive line kind of got hurt in the Super Bowl. So Patrick Mahomes is running like a crazy man. But now they have some good O-line. If they can all stay healthy, this team's going to be really good. It's probably going to be them and the Bucs in the Super Bowl again if everybody stays healthy. But we'll have to see how the teams play throughout the season, all these teams in the NFL. So in week 1, I'm going to give the Chiefs the win here at home against the Browns. And let's get into the next game. The next game is at 4:25 p.m. and it's the Miami Dolphins against the New England Patriots in Foxborough. So in this game, I don't know exactly who to pick here because, see, with the Patriots, they're going to have Mac Jones playing his first career NFL games. They released Cam a few days ago, which I'm kind of not surprised because Cam wasn't great last year. I still do think they should give him another chance this year because he came in so last minute last year, playing during a pandemic season, and then also didn't have the greatest of offense around him. He really didn't have great receivers. But I do think they should have given Cam another chance. He didn't have great receivers, and pretty much the whole team either opted out or they just didn't have good at that position. So that's why I think they should give Cam another chance this year with them adding so much talent to this team now in the offense. But I guess they want to go with Mac Jones, their rookie, and see what he got. So fortunately for Cam, he is a free agent at the time of filming this video. Maybe he'll sign as a backup somewhere, and we'll have to see. But if Cam doesn't sign as a backup, I think he still had a good career. It's just one thing he did that pretty much has screwed up his career is whenever he would get tackled, instead of going out of bounds or sliding, he would always lean with his throwing shoulder into the tackle. So the people would always tackle him with their helmet or whatever right into that throwing shoulder. And after that happened so many times, now his shoulder's screwed up and he can't throw the ball as accurately as he could previously, like in his MVP season and when he was really good with the Panthers. So if Cam Newton didn't take all those hits, even though he would have got a little bit less yardage, he still probably would have been able to be good for longer because the thing that made him so good is he could run, he's strong, so he could break tackles, and he could still throw accurately. But now that he can't really throw, it's kind of like he's just a running back that can somewhat throw, so it's kind of harder for him to do because they key in on the run of him, so he has to make the throws to beat the defense, and it's just harder for him to do that at this point in his career with how bad his shoulder is. But hopefully he can be a backup or maybe a starter somewhere and help them, and maybe he can go to Philly and go start there, but I don't think so because I think they're either going to go with Hurts or Gardner Minshew. But in this game, I do think I'm going to go with the Patriots, even though I do like the Dolphins. It's with Tua and Jalen Waddle. That was a really good pick, and just everybody they have. I just don't know if Tua's going to be able to win in Foxborough for his first game as the starter for the whole season. Last year, yes, he did start a few games, but him and Fitzpatrick were on and off. Now it's only Tua. It's Tua time. It's time for him to prove he's either the real deal for the Dolphins or they're going to have to find someone after this year if he can't and prove to the Dolphins that he's the guy. Funny thing is Mac Jones and Tua were at Alabama at the same time for a year or two. I don't know exactly how many years because I don't watch college a ton, but I think it was about 1 to 2 years they were in the same quarterback room, maybe 3. So that's kind of funny. Now they're arch enemies because they're in the AFC East and different teams. So that's kind of funny how it went for them being teammates to now rivals. But I am going to pick the Patriots to win this game, and let's get into the next game. That's at 4:25 p.m. Next, we have the Broncos taking on the Giants in New York or New Jersey. So in this game, I'm going to pick the Broncos to win because even though the Giants have done a lot of improving this season, I think the Broncos defense is still really good, and if Teddy Bridgewater can just make a few throws and hand the ball off a few times, I think they should be fine, the Broncos. So I'm going to give the Broncos the win here in week 1 because I don't know if the Giants are going to all be synced up together yet because they have a lot of new additions, so they might take a few weeks, but I think the Giants will be very good this year if they can stay healthy, especially Saquon. He's just, after that really good rookie year, he just has not been able to stay healthy consistently. So if he could stay healthy, this Giants team's going to be a lot better. But I am going to pick the Broncos to win here week 1, but I would not be surprised if the Giants do end up coming in and winning this game at home. But I'm going to give the edge to the Broncos. So Broncos win. Let's get into the next game. Next, we have the Packers taking on the Saints at TIAA Field in Jacksonville. So before we get into the prediction of the game, I just wanted to say if anybody's been affected by Hurricane Ida in New Orleans, I hope you guys are all safe and are getting your power back maybe soon if you're not already, because it's just a mess there. And it was 16 years to the day after Hurricane Katrina hit in New Orleans, so it's just really unfortunate there. But hopefully everyone is okay. So they moved this game to Jacksonville just because of all the damages in New Orleans, and they wanted to give, I guess, the city a few weeks to repair itself before they bring an NFL game there. So that's why that game will be in Jacksonville. So it still is considered a Saints home game. Obviously it's not because Jacksonville is not New Orleans. They're different stadiums, different states, different cities. Hopefully everyone is okay from Ida and anyone in New Orleans. And in this game, I am going to pick the Packers to win because Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, that's such a good duo. And then also, I just don't think the Saints are as good anymore with Jameis Winston. Like, I don't know if Jameis Winston's really going to be able to be a great quarterback for the Saints. And even their backup, Taysom Hill, like, he's good as a utility player, but I don't know if he's good as a starting quarterback if he ends up starting later in the year. So I am going to give the Packers the win here in Week 1 against the Saints. But I don't think the Saints are going to be as good as they were last year because I just don't think Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill is really good enough starting quarterback to carry this team in this division when they have to go up against the Bucs twice a year, have to play the Packers this week, and then some tough teams throughout the rest of their schedule. So I just don't think they're a good enough team this year. And they also had to cut a lot of guys because they were over the cap, so a lot of their veterans they had to cut as well. So I just don't think they have the same depth as they used to, and this team's just not going to be as good. But Alvin Kamara, I still think will be great. Maybe Michael Thomas will have a bounce-back year. He's not going to play the first few weeks. I don't know exactly how many because he had to get another surgery. He's just been very injury-prone as well. So I give the Packers the win in this game. Let's get into the next one. Next, we have Sunday Night Football against the Chicago Bears and the LA Rams in LA. So in this game, I'm going to pick the Rams to win because I do think the Bears are really good with that defense, and that offense should be good with Justin Fields, especially if he starts, that offense should be really good because he's really fast. So he kind of has that. He kind of seems like Cam a little bit, how he can throw the ball and he's still got speed, except for he's not built like Cam. He's not as big as him and stuff. Like, he's not as tall and weigh as much, but he still kind of feels like Cam a little bit. But I think they're going to still start with Andy Dalton because that's what they've said, and I don't think that's really changing. But I am going to give the Rams the win here because Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, that's really good on defense. And then offense, now they add Matthew Stafford, who in my opinion, I think is a lot better than Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford's been so underrated because he's been on Detroit his whole career and not really had playoff success, unfortunately. But he also hasn't had the greatest teams around him. So I do think that Matthew Stafford's going to have a really good year in LA with so much more weapons around him and with all the good players around him now as well, and the better offensive line, and pretty much the better defense, and probably the better team overall than the Lions have been for him. So I'm going to give the Rams the win here on Sunday Night Football, but I think it should be a good game. Let's get into Monday Night Football. So on Monday Night Football, we have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. So I'm going to give the Ravens the win here because I think the Ravens are going to be really good. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, etc. I just think they're a really good team. And then the Raiders, they have a pretty good offense. Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Derek Carr. It's just Derek Carr I'm not a huge fan of. He's not horrible, but he's not the best. And Lamar Jackson, he's just so fast. Like, it's so hard to contain him. And I just think the Ravens' defense is also a lot better with Marlon Humphreys and the rest of the defense. I think it's just a really good defense. So I think the Ravens are going to get the win in Week 1 on Monday Night Football against the Las Vegas Raiders. Let me know down in the comments below who you think will win each game or just the key games, whatever you guys want to let me know down below. And thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys for Week 2. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe down below. It would really mean a lot to me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.